Welcome to How We Grow, an essential playbook to grow and scale your vacation rental business with advice and insights from the best in the biz, with your host, Lynell Gordon. Welcome to the Vacation Rental Show. I'm Lynell Gordon, your host, and I have Francois Gouelo with us today, and he is the co-founder and CEO of Enso Connect, which it does a bunch of things, guys, but it's an AI platform as well, and he is just brilliant. So I'm really excited to have him back on. I had him about a year ago, and since then, he's experienced exponential growth, like 4x right now in a year. And guys, you know, as business people, what that entails. So I bet you haven't been getting a lot of sleep, have you, Francois? Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Well, the good news is I've been tracking my sleep with an electric band so that I can actually measure how much I sleep in this growth. So I'm still well rested for this podcast, Lynell.
Oh, I didn't think you weren't. I just know that with that kind of growth, there's so many things because that's called scaling quickly. You guys think about this. If you have 20 vacation rentals and then in a year you have 80 vacation rentals, now it's more than that. Think about this. You have 8 people working for you. Now you have 36, 32 at least working for you. That growth is way more than 4x. You have a 4x growth in your employees. That's way exponentially more in your product. Tell me what's happening. We're going to talk about AI growth, right?
Yeah, 100%. Well, there's a lot of things happening. I think the first thing I'll say, and we're seeing this more and more with different companies in the space, everyone's talking about AI. Everyone's excited about it. We've all used it. We've all tried it, and we see the potential. And the big thing I would say is, 5-10 years ago, you would see software companies start saying, we are in the cloud. We are a cloud-based software. And it was the biggest thing. Like, what does this mean? Is there a cloud above me where my PMS is evolving? What is going on? And today, you won't see a single company tell you that they're in the cloud because they are all in the cloud. And it's just, if you are asked to put a CD in your laptop, it probably doesn't even have a CD slot to run any software. Well, I think we're seeing the exact same parallel with AI. There's this excitement. Everyone's an AI company today. In 5 years, if you are not an AI company, you're just not a valuable or valid company in the space. So we're going to see implementations happen throughout the different spaces or systems that we see in vacation rentals, whether it's operations, accounting, guest experience, upsells, messaging. The most prevalent one we've seen today is messaging, which is one that I'll talk about today.
That's because messaging is the beginning part that we started with. And so it's the part that I think has had the biggest growth. I was sitting with my husband yesterday or the day before, and we're doing some new programming on a website that shows ancient Hebrew manuscripts right now. He was sitting and talking to me about something. We are building some software out that will allow certain searches, and it's really cool. And I just stopped in the middle of the conversation, and I had this big epiphany. I was like, we have to change direction. We have to incorporate the AI part of this, because if not, in 2 months, when this is finished being programmed, it's going to be outdated already. So those who are not using messaging AI right now, you're literally behind times right this minute. Am I right about that?
Absolutely. And this goes beyond just being able to use it. It's also starting to think about how you're going to apply it throughout your operations. So the way I see AI today is a translation model. You read a text, your brain translates it into something you can comprehend. The next evolution of AI that we're going to see is reasoning, to actually be able to think and understand deeply what is going on. So today, if you're asked something simple like, what is the Wi-Fi? It's easy for it to figure out the intent of the question and what the response might be based on a very sort of binary approach. And for anyone who's listening to this who has an AI background, they're probably going to scream when I say binary, because it's not. It's what we call transformer models, but I won't go into the technicality of it. I think in the near future, we're going to start seeing more reasoning. And that's when you get a guest complaint, it's going to be able to understand how to navigate based on your SOPs and your systems and so on. I think that's where we're seeing the future of AI. We're not there yet. So for those of you who are excited about just being a one-man show with 500 properties to manage, we're not there yet. Don't go ahead and get rid of your entire team.
No, we're going to give you more time for other team members to service your guests, is what you're going to get with this. Now, I want to back up for just a minute. I want you to hear what Francois said. He didn't say, Siri, can you tell me the Wi-Fi password? He didn't say, Alexa, can you tell me the Wi-Fi password? He said, what's the Wi-Fi? Because that's the way we ask. And you're saying that's the type of reasoning that AI should be doing for us. We shouldn't have to say, can you give me the Wi-Fi code, or can you email me the Wi-Fi? Can you text it? When we say, what's the Wi-Fi? It should give us the password and then say, should I email that to you or text you?
That's right. I'll give you a good example that we've seen time and time before. So the old version of answering that with a chatbot-like tool would be, if the word Wi-Fi is in the question, then send the username and the password. But what happens if someone says, hey, the Wi-Fi is not working? And now it just answers username and password. No, I said the Wi-Fi is not working. Username and password. So this would be a very frustrating customer experience. This evolution of AI allows you to understand the context in which the word Wi-Fi is being used, and therefore start giving answers that are relevant. I think where we're going to see a really interesting evolution is the ability for that AI, if someone says the Wi-Fi is not working, to diagnose why it's not working, to then provide that as a task to the right person on your staff, to really create that operational workflow that is needed.
Now, here's my software background coming into it. So someone says the Wi-Fi is not working. It starts to diagnose it, and it'll tell the guest, here's how you fix it. Or depending on what your organizational SOP is, it will automatically text the person that's supposed to be fixing the Wi-Fi, and it will automatically create a work order in your property management software that automatically assigns it to that person. So nobody has to touch anything except for the service person that's going to service the thing, right? I mean, and then it would automatically create the billing based on the time that guy is working. I mean, there's so many ways to automate that just makes me so happy.
Me too. I get so excited about it. And again, we're taking things step by step, right? It's not this one magical AI that will solve every problem in your business. It's identifying. I use the Wi-Fi as an example, but one of the big areas that we're leveraging AI is around upsells and being able to service your guests further, creating these new revenue streams that you get to keep as a property manager at 100%, right? Because one of the struggles I see in vacation rentals when I compare vacation rentals from hotels is margins. People don't make nearly as much on a per room or per listing basis in vacation rentals as they may in hotels because they don't own the assets. They manage it on behalf of an owner. So being able to create these new revenue streams, upsells, is effectively growing that revenue and that gross margin input. But how do you do it when you have vacation rentals to manage? Now you're talking about creating a whole new business, right? Which is servicing guests in a personalized way.
I'm going to challenge you, and I want you to think about this. Upsell versus concierge. Okay, you do keep 100% of upsell. Concierge is a service. The difference is $250,000 a year versus $1 million a year. I mean, the amount of revenue difference between upsell versus concierge is like exponential. So I would challenge you to think about what you're doing with AI and offering people concierge versus upsell. If you could find a way that would allow people to do this concierge service, it would make a difference in the bottom line of every company that took that product.
Agreed. I think we're getting there slowly. So I'll give you some context. Our mission at Enso Connect is to digitize and monetize the guest experience. So really focusing on 3 core values. We want to increase revenue per guest. We want to save you time in your operations and your day-to-day, and we want to drive more 5-star bookings. How we increase revenue is with this concept of upsells. And I like the way you brought up concierge because it's true personalization will drive higher conversion rates on these products. If you give a bunch of products to a guest, like a nightclub and a bar and tickets to this, and then turns out it's a family of 4 who's here for a completely calm spa-like retreat, yes, you may have upsells. You'll have 0 conversion rate on those upsells because you're not targeting the right audience. Saving time is, well, how are you supposed to service these upsells if you're busy answering Wi-Fi questions and check-in questions? Because that is your core business. And then driving more bookings is once you've covered both of those things, the 60% of guests who sent you a message about potentially booking your property, what did you do about it? Did you follow up with them? Did you try and get them to book again with you or book a different property? And so driving that sort of not necessarily direct booking strategy, but rebooking strategy, if you will. Then those are our 3 pillars. And so when I look at upsells, I find that people are stuck with, I'm not going to offer any upsells. I don't have time.
Yeah, I don't have the back end to manage it. Let me ask you this, and I want you to go there. Let's back up just a tiny bit because I'm really interested. Give me an example of an upsell.
Yeah. Early check-in, late checkout, extended stays, mid-stay cleanings. Those ones I call operational upsells. They hit to your operations. But it could also be a tour, an activity, a private chef, a helicopter ride. I mean, we've seen crazy things from a helicopter ride from a local airport to the ski chalet, things like that.
Okay, so let's talk about the difference between this because you gave me an example. The reason I wanted that is I wanted to talk to you about the difference in the way that we look at AI on this. Okay, so upsell, private chef. They have a checkbox. Would you like to have a private chef while they're there? Answer yes or no. Yes. Okay, here's the charge for it. We get that set up. Concierge. Would you like a private chef concierge wise? And you want us to take care of everything? Or do you want to do it? Well, we want you to take care of everything. And so here's where AI, okay, private chef. What days would you like? What type of food do you like? You don't even have to say anything. That AI asks all the questions for a concierge service. It doesn't cost you any more money to do that. It costs the guest a lot more money because you could charge a lot more for a personalized French food, Italian food, favorite dishes. There's just so much that AI could do with that. Wouldn't cost you a penny more for a person to do it because it's AI that could do it. Do you see what I'm saying with the difference between the upsell and the concierge?
Absolutely. One's a blanket offer. Anyone can buy it or not, and you don't really know why they would buy it or why they wouldn't buy it. And the other one is you get the intent of that guest.
And what kind of information would that be for you to keep in that AI on that guest? Think about the profile you would know from just that one upsell of a private chef.
Lynell, you're uncovering my entire business strategy here. I love it. But no, it's true. It's absolutely true. And you know what? The same parallel can have operational upsells. They may not seem as personalized because we're not talking about food and things like that, but I'll give you an example. I had a client sell an early check-in for $650 on an $800 nightly reservation in Aspen, Colorado. I was shocked. I tried to understand it. So I called the client and I asked him, how did you manage to sell a record 3 or 4 hour early check-in for basically the price of the night? And that client told me, well, the guest arrived in Aspen and we just gave him an extra half a day to go ski. So you bet they'll pay an extra $650 to enjoy that entire afternoon. And so once you start diving into that data, how do you do this? When, I look at it for ourselves, we have over 55,000 properties in 60 countries on our platform. How am I going to go check every property and see what works, what doesn't? AI will do it for me.
Think about this. What if you implemented that concierge service like I'm talking about, and at the end of 18 months, you have 6 people that came to visit you that wanted a private Italian chef? What if you, at that point, 18 months later, when you have all this data, you go to your local 5-star Italian restaurant in Aspen. Let's talk about Aspen because we're talking concierge, okay? Or Breckenridge, wherever. But you go to your local Italian restaurant and you say, I need for you to put on an event. And I'm going to invite people who I know love Italian food to come to your food and wine. And we're going to make it a whole staycation kind of thing for a 3-day. And you offer a high price. Guys, we have a famous Italian restaurant here. What if you did it in such a way that the AI could automatically create events or suggest events based on your past guest experiences?
100%. I mean, I think we are headed towards that. More and more companies are starting to uncover these kinds of patterns, these new monetization opportunities, and sharing it with property managers because quite frankly, it's so much easier to sell money than it is to sell time, especially when you're busy.
So true. It is so true.
So it's been exciting to see that. And I think that has been a big chunk of our growth throughout the past year since we last chatted last year has been to just demonstrate that, you know what, for every dollar you spend with us, we're going to output $7 or $8. We're going to give you $7 or $8 in new money.
How We Grow has partnered with Lynell Gordon to bring the vacation rentals market custom protection products built for the needs of the vacation rental industry. Enjoy complete protection for both your travelers and your owners via the industry's leading travel, damage, and liability protection products. Learn more about the travel tech industry's most advanced travel and damage protection platform and API at rentalguardian.com.
What recommendations would you have for property managers who are looking to save their time and increase their ROI? What is the big one thing, guys, you really need to do that will do those two things?
100%. So the first thing on the AI side is to start thinking about, where is all of this data? Is it in your PMS? Is it sitting in a spreadsheet? Are you writing it down in notes and Post-its and so on in your office? Are you starting to create a plan to structure the information so that you have, to put it in simple terms, one big spreadsheet with all of the information about your guests, about their stay, and about what they liked or didn't like? That would be sort of my first piece here, is some sort of data strategy. And I think obviously having a PMS is a big part of that, but having a guest experience platform or sort of system in place is another one. When it comes to upsells, if your first thought is, I don't have time for this, talk to me. Come talk to me, because I've heard people say, we just can't offer early check-ins, late checkouts, back-to-back reservations. And I get that. I totally understand it. But we've cracked different systems that allow you to offer these at a really interesting rate without necessarily creating the operational headache. And this is where I've put a list of things to go through before you reject that possibility of adding new revenue streams.
I personally think early check-in and late checkout is the cheapest upsell you can have, because all it takes is structuring the time of cleaning. That's all it is. That's it. Guys, I wrote a software that took 2 years to write. And after all of it was said and done, the most profitable part of that was simply saying, which home are you going to clean first on a turn day? And that was the early check-in and late checkouts. 3 years ago, I asked one of our clients who was still using our software. There's a lot of built-in software, so they were using the software. And I said, why are you only setting $35,000 additional revenue with your early check-ins? Why aren't you doing more? And he said, I don't think I can manage it. And I thought, the whole point of that just went out the window, because it doesn't cost you any less to clean this house first and that house later. And especially when you have exceptions and you're like, I have a 10-bedroom and I can never do this. Okay, well, that's just an exception and it's never offered to that house. It's just the easiest.
I'll give another quick little trick, or something more shocking to hear, is you can offer an early check-in months in advance, but not approve it. And what I mean by this is, and it sounds confusing, and I know people who are listening to this are going to be like, well, no, I can't offer it months in advance, because what if I have another reservation? I won't know until day of. This is where we've seen a really interesting conversion rate on these kinds of products. When you offer an early check-in or a late checkout months in advance, a guest has this excitement about their trip. They're already planning when they're going to arrive. They book their flight. They know they're going to arrive in the morning. And so they're going to request all of this ahead of time. We know that operationally, you don't know if you can offer it, because you might have a last minute reservation. You might have guests that stayed later. Maybe you offered a late checkout. There's all these questions. But you've gotten the payment intent of that guest. They cannot go back on their word now and say, I don't want it anymore. It's just like an upgrade on an airplane. When you ask for an upgrade on an airplane and you say, I will bid to get the premium economy or business class, day of check-in, you can't go back and say, never mind, I don't want my premium economy, I'll stay in economy. If it's available, they'll automatically approve it and you'll move up to premium economy. You cannot go back. So being able to receive the requests ahead of time, but approving or denying them day of, will increase your conversion rate.
I would think, depending on the destination, you would need to approve it the day before, minimum. But people that are managing their housekeeping, they'll know that week before, unless they have a bunch of people that call in sick, whether or not they can do that. And there are software guys today that will not allow you to schedule a late checkout and early check-in for the same day. The bottom line is there's software to handle that. But with AI, I think that looking for ways to make money with doing less work is really where we need to keep our focus. So in our businesses in the next year, I mean, seriously, if we're talking about AI, period, talk to me about the messaging. We talked about creating context, being able to reason and context and answers that are relevant based on context, not necessarily on what they said. How far out are we on that, Francois?
I think we are already there in understanding more and more of what a guest's question or intent or sentiment is. So one of the things we do, for example, is we're going to track the sentiment of a conversation, allowing you to proactively know if a customer is highly satisfied, unsatisfied, and so on. And one of the triggers that we're going to use this information for is on checkout. If the AI detects that the sentiment of the conversation was not great, we're not going to remind that guest to leave a review.
No, I love that. Yeah.
right? Everyone has this automated message that goes out that goes 2 days after checkout, send a reminder to leave a review. Well, what if you could say, send a reminder only to the guests who show that they were highly satisfied in our conversation to leave a review?
And the other thing is, if you're doing it that way, for goodness sakes, give them a direct link to your Google local page. For goodness sakes, please do that. Don't forget that.
Just a friendly reminder. I agree.
Yes. Or wherever your guests look for reviews. So if you want to do TripAdvisor, or depending if you're in Europe, if you want to do it on booking.com or wherever they booked from, give them a direct link, guys, so that they don't go search or they don't put that beautiful review somewhere that doesn't matter to you, no matter where that is. I'm sure that you can direct them to wherever that is.
100%. 100%. So I think we're headed there. We're there somewhat. I think what we're seeing with the property managers that we work with is that many of them just don't have yet that information. They don't have a lot of the data that's structured in a way where AI can operate really well. So I'll give you an example. We ran an accuracy report on generating a response for guests based on different topics. And what we noticed was check-in, check-out questions were pretty easy, because we all have check-in and check-out instructions that are fairly clear. They're binary. They're there. There's no other way of checking into my property. The AI is not going to hallucinate and say, go through the window. It'll likely say to go through the door. And so the accuracy rate on generating a response was anywhere between 85 to 90%. Wi-Fi was way above 90% because it's very easy, but complaints was 27%. Why? Because as property managers, we don't really have a process for complaints. We don't have SOPs. There are maybe cleaning related complaints. The property wasn't cleaned properly. There may be communication related issues. Maybe the operator's not communicating properly with the guest. There's just so many layers of what a complaint could be that AI is not yet ready to respond to those kinds of messages in an efficient way. And so this is where I would urge property managers to start thinking about, how do you handle complaints today? Do you have a proper process in place when a guest is unhappy? Do you offer refunds? Do you provide free little trinkets? What is it that you do to make those 3-star stays 5-star stays, if that makes sense?
No, it does perfectly. I love that. Let me ask you this. What advice do you have people that are trying to scale their business and grow the number of properties? What kind of technology do you think can help them to do that today?
The first thing I would say, and this is actually counterintuitive because I charge per property per month, so what I'm going to say actually goes against my business. Don't focus entirely on just the number of properties. I know it's a shiny object for a lot of property managers to compare. Well, I have 100 and I have 500, but the guy who has 500 properties at $25 a night is making way less than the one who has 15 properties at $1,500 a night. So there's something about growth and scale, and the two words are, in my opinion, very different. What defines the two is your profit margins effectively. If you're thinking about where the industry is headed, where the country is headed, I mean, the US, but in general, the world is headed, we're headed towards this digital experience, whether you like it or not. And I'm sure many guests do want in-person and personalized connections. Digital experiences do not mean that you will destroy any personal or human contact. It means you will automate the mundane so you can focus on the personalization. So you can personalize what can't be automated. So start thinking about, do I have enough information to be able to use AI systems? Am I using the right property management software with the right partners and connected systems to be able to create that digital experience? And what is a digital experience for my business?
I want to challenge you to do something. So one of the most profitable revenue items for property managers is something like a property protection plan, like is offered by Lynell Gordon. It's one of the most profitable items. You can make more money with the same number of properties. Your ROI could increase dramatically just by using this one thing. So I would love to see a way that, and it's basically in lieu of a security deposit, is this property protection plan. It's outrageously profitable for property managers. So here's the thing. I have a question for you. How can we use AI to increase the conversion rate for something like, I'm using the PPP that Lynell Gordon has because I know how much money is made from that. You talk about taking 100% of an upsell. This is steroids. This is one of the highest revenue margins that you will ever have in your business. How can we use AI to increase things like that? We say, okay, here's our profit center. How can AI help me increase that? Francois, what can we do?
It's a good question. I mean, if I understand correctly, we have a similar-ish product from Rental Guardian. We're actually looking to partner with them on that.
That's really where I'm going. Partner and let's increase that.
100%. I don't think AI is necessarily applicable to increasing this because it's a fixed product that we're selling to every guest and we're giving them the option. So I'll step back here. We have a similar kind of approach where we offer what we call a damage waiver or a safety deposit to guests. And we give the guest the choice. Some customers don't want to give them the choice and force them down the path of the damage protection waiver. I don't know if there's an application of AI other than in the pricing side of things that would apply towards selling this particular product.
I'm thinking about the messaging part. What if AI could automatically create the messaging? Like, I'm thinking in messaging because messaging is so powerful. If we create the right messaging for the profit centers, we want to upsell 100% more.
I think the only reason I take it away from this particular upsell is because it's a forced path for a guest. Every guest, if you sign up to Rental Guardian today, every guest goes through it. And so it's a workflow effectively. You're saying whenever a guest books, you're going to go through this path, whether you like it or not. And so I don't know if AI has an application in that other than potentially responding to questions that guests might have about what they're purchasing here. That's where I would see the application of AI is if a guest is confused about the damage protection waiver, or if they don't know what to choose between a safety deposit or a damage protection waiver.
Maybe we could do something that says, ask me the difference between these two. Let me tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the ask me why an early check-in would work for you, and then spit out the information if they're in Aspen about why you have a whole day of skiing. Maybe it could help educate the consumer.
That's a good point. And if anything, you've just given me some new feature ideas. I think my engineering team's going to hate me here, but because I'm going to add a few things to the roadmap. And we already started doing a bit of this through Enso Experiences, one of our upsell programs. The idea of personalizing the sales proposition, basically the copy that you're going to see when selling a product to the guest has huge potential. That's for sure.
Especially based on revenue models of your business, no matter where you are.
You know what, Lynell? I take back what I said where I said I don't think that AI could apply to the damage protection side because a family of four may be more concerned about their kids drawing on the walls or breaking the TV and so on than a group of girls that are on a bachelorette party that are more scared about their girlfriend, drunk breaking something. And so positioning the wording towards the stay to explain how that damage protection is actually going to benefit the guest.
If your kid draws on the white sofa, it's okay. You can still stay in this house. You just take the PPV instead.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so you know what? I take back the fact that I said I don't think there's an application. I do think there's an application to drive more conversion and make guests feel more at ease on what this is that they're purchasing.
I can't wait to see what the next 2 years holds. I can't, because in my head, I'm always thinking of applications for how AI can change our lives because I use it every day. And I can tell you that in your business, if you're not using AI every day, I don't know why not, especially the free version. It can help you so much with so many different pieces of your business. I mean, everybody thinks immediately, oh, content, I can run content. Well, guys, let me just tell you, I have people in my nonprofit that I manage that they are not English speakers natively. And this is remarkable, the difference in the communication now that they can have. I mean, everybody has form letters and we have those in property management. Here's a form letter that goes out when this happens or that happens. So what if somebody calls you, right? They're calling you and they have, maybe it's one of these problems you're talking about where, you're saying that there's a complaint response. Even using AI right now to craft that response, that's very powerful.
Yeah.
All right. So tell me what we should expect in the next year, Francois. What's growing? Where's our big trending going?
So within our context, and I can't speak for every company out there, we're focusing on having a truly centralized, unified messaging experience across all the different stakeholders that exist in a property management business, whether it's owners, guests, cleaners, maintenance, really anyone, teams, staff, and so on, and leveraging AI, not just as a chatbot to respond to questions, but as a co-pilot, as an agent to help you know what you should do. Answering the same questions to your staff members to say, hey, do this, do that, make sure to do it this way. These are things that AI can uncover. So I think we're going to start seeing the rising tide of AI agents effectively that are here to help your staff in becoming better virtual assistants, better guest experience managers. I think the day of scaling the number of listings at all costs are over. I think people are more conscious of the types of properties they bring on, the types of owners they want to manage. And I think people are going to start thinking a bit more about revenue diversification. Not everything should come from a reservation, and start thinking about these personalized concierge-like services that they can offer to their guests like we talked about today. I think that is one of the major trends for 2025. And in the next couple of years, I would not be surprised if we start seeing some AI even more involved in the day-to-day operations of property managers.
So I just want to tell you, I love your product. I love what you do. I do. I really enjoy talking with you because you just get it. You get property managers in a way that a lot of other vendors do not. It is such a pleasure to talk to you. I want you to come back next year. I can't imagine your growth from next year, but is there anything you want to say to people before we go?
Well, I mean, if you want to learn more, if you want to have a conversation, if you want to challenge me on some of the ideas, I'm always open to feedback and learning. I mean, it's thanks to all of these property managers that I've gotten to interact that we've built this business. It's not just about selling, it's about building genuine connections and learning. I mean, just today, Lynell, you just sparked a bunch of ideas here on the AI side that I was categorically saying no to. So by all means, challenge what we've talked about today, share your experience, and looking forward to being more involved in the Inhabit ecosystem.
How would they reach you if they wanted to talk to you?
I'm on LinkedIn 24/7. You can send me an email at francois.gouelo@ensoconnect.com. I won't spell it out because it's always complicated. I'm sure we'll share it in the notes.
Your name will definitely be on the episode. So guys, you can take a look at the episode and see. It's awesome. And thank you for being willing to come share and put your thoughts up there. I always appreciate having you.
I appreciate it, Lynell. No, it's always fun. We'll do this again for sure.
100%.
This episode of How We Grow is brought to you by Rental Guardian. To find out more about how Rental Guardian can help grow your vacation rental business, visit rentalguardian.com. Make sure to search for How We Grow in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found, and hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. On behalf of the team here at Inhabit, thanks for listening.